Yeah.
Well, good morning, folks. I'm Henrik Johnson here from the Backpack Survival Guide. This morning I just thought I would talk to you about how to make an easy, long-lasting water purification filter. Because you will need to purify your water if you're staying in the wild for longer times of period, simply because the risk of parasites and that will eventually take your life if you are in a long-term wilderness situation. But luckily we can easily overcome this. And there are several ways, but this one I'll show you is cheap and easy. You will need a Coke bottle, a regular kitchen sponge. Make sure that you get the ones that are not soaked or anything, just pure clean sponge. You can use any spongy material actually. You'll need a knife. I'll just use a regular carpenter's knife. You will need your trusty canteen, military grade canteen. You will need bleach. You can get regular household bleach at any supermarket, so it's quite cheap and easy to get hold of. And then you'll need some sort of container. I prefer the honest bottle, but you can also use other plastic containers that will keep sealed because you do not want the bleach to leak out into the backpack. Additionally, I like to add a little syringe here, simply for dosing the chlorine, so you don't waste any chlorine or dose too much and have to start over. The first thing we do is that we take our bottle. If you want to, you can soak it in some hot water. It will make it easier to cut the plastics, but in this case I won't. You then take a knife. As always, I cannot stress this enough, whenever you use knife or buy knives, make sure you have finger guard knives. Now, the way to do this is not to start sawing, because this isn't a sawing knife. You have to poke it in, like so. Here we got a hole, and then we start it. Just add pressure. And here we go. Make sure not to get in contact with these edges because they can be quite sharp. You can use the knife just to perfect it a little bit if you want. I'm not the best carver at this. Now we have the filter container, but of course we'll need the filtering material. This is where the sponge comes in. Now, in order to make the sponge right, we'll take this bottle here, which we just cut, put on top of it, press down, take a knife again, and just cut off around. Just roughly cut. Don't need to make it complete wrong, but take most of the excess material. There we go. Smooth this. Now the next thing we do, we take our newly cut sponge. I usually have the rough side up, but you can also just tear it off if you don't want it. But I like to keep it on for extra filtration. Then place it up here, slowly push it down. You can use a knife as well, just to make it even, so it won't flip over like this. Just put it down at the end cap. You'll see as it progresses it will make a closer and more tight seal. This will of course become even better once you have some more weight on top of it. I'll usually, when I'm at the camp, I'll usually take a charcoal from the campfire and add along with sphagnum moss, and that will do just fine at removing chemicals as well as the Giardia and other E. coli bacteria. But when you're on the move, you don't always have fire at hand. You might bring your own charcoal, but in some cases you might not. Also in urban situations you don't always have charcoal just readily available, and that's where the bleach comes in. Now here we have our filter container at least, and you can add your filter material up here and it will not sift through. Now the good thing with using these Coke bottles is actually that your standard military grade canteen, both the metal ones, the plastic ones, they all have the same dimensions at the top. So you will actually see that it will fit perfectly into here. Add water and it will sift right into your canteen and ready for use. You can just test it here so you can see. don't know if the camera will show enough, but it seemed like the camera just ran out of battery, but I'll just finish this very quickly, of course. 2 drops of chlorine per liter or quarter gallon of water. Let it sit for 10 minutes, just stir it quickly. It will kill off the germs. Of course, I would not recommend using chlorine. It's not dangerous at those amounts, but first of all, you want to conserve your chlorine. If you're staying at a survival situation that could last you months or years, you will need to use it wisely. Container like this. If you have no leaks and if you protect it from sun and other thing that can damage it, of course the chlorine will do its thing to the container itself. But this should last you for around a year and a half. That's more than enough. That's a year and a half if you use each day. So you can go down in size of container if you would like to as well. Another thing I like to bring is a cheap pharmacy syringe, simply for more easier and precise dosing for dropping. Let's find the right technique here. 1, 2. Just make it easier for dosing, and it doesn't take much room. You can just rubber band it on your container here, and it will be readily available. Now I like to use bleach when I'm on the move, when I'm hiking and I don't really have time to sit down and boil water or anything like that. If I'm at the camp, at a hunting situation, and I'm staying at the same base camp for several days, I will prefer boiling, simply because it just make it easier for dosing, and it doesn't take much room. You can just rubber band it on your container here, and it will be readily available. Now I like to use bleach when I'm on the move, when I'm hiking and I don't really have time to sit down and boil water or anything like that. If I'm at the camp, at a hunting situation, and I'm staying at the same base camp for several days, I will prefer boiling, simply because it takes a little effort to boil the water, and I don't know, I like to not be that reliant to chemicals. It's just me. Well, I hope you found this filtration canister video useful, and I have used it for some time and I'm still not that ill, so it does work. It does work very well, and it's a good way to utilize some of the leftovers from Western society. Have a nice day and have a nice outdoors experience. Thank you.
Yeah.